So today we're going to uncover a little mystery, you see, because on February 24th, Ascend tweeted out a little clip of me talking about the Fnatic economy, saying, why on earth would you buy the way that they were? And guess who replied? Fnatic Boaster, saying, if you don't know, then you don't know, with a little, a little gif right here. But I have figured it out, okay? This is a mystery no longer. But the mystery all began in their very first match against Sentinels and the very first map, where they won the defensive pistol round and then decided to buy this, where they've got all light shields, a rifle and a bulldog, a marshal, and 2 stingers. There isn't anything too weird here, but it's what they do in the next round, which really caused me some headaches, and I was really confused. Because this is the very next round, and even though you can see that no one on Fnatic has died, they all have 0 deaths coming into this round, they now have 4 rifles and 1 bulldog, right? And these guys don't have enough to buy. So there's basically 2 stingers and a marshal just sitting in their spawn as they went for it on round 3. And this caused me and other analysts as well some headaches of going like, but why not just use the marshal and stingers that you already had, right? Like, why not just build up your economy and kind of, you know, do it that way? Because then they would then go on to lose round 3, and those 3 players that had rebought rifles now can't buy. As you can see here, we're coming in with a stinger. 1 person has a rifle, Durka has knives, but, you know, a frenzy, a shorty. It's really not that good of a buy, and that brought up the question, well, why did you buy in round 3? And if you lose, you then have to save round 4. Why would you do that? But do not fear, because I have the answer, and the answer is pretty simple. I think that they just made a pretty big mistake and not realizing that the buy that they were going for doesn't work on the defensive side. So I think it was you, Boaster, who tricked us all, because I think you made a mistake. Because later on in that tournament, when they won defensive pistol rounds, like here against Loud, we can see, you know, they've won round 13 here. It's 7-6 to Fnatic. You can see that their buy here is 4 bulldogs and a judge, right? None of this marshal stingers, you know, we're going to drop the guns even if we live stuff. No, just 4 bulldogs and a judge. It looks much more normal. And then the 2 people that died in that round did not come back and buy rifles. Instead, they bought stingers, right? So going for a more traditional buy where we're still saving enough so that we can still buy next round no matter what happens, playing this more as a true bonus rather than really going for it and then having to save. But this whole idea of buying a gun and then dropping it later on did still happen on their attack sides. So what on earth were they actually doing? What on earth was going on? Well, to understand it, we have to talk about the FPX Navi buy, because this really is what this is. It is an offshoot of the Navi FPX buy. So Navi FPX, what they do in the second round on attack sides is they go for this very extreme kind of buy, right? Where we've got 3 rifles here with light shields and 2 pistols, a ghost and a frenzy with light shields. So like really extreme. And the idea is that as long as 3 people live and as long as we keep these rifles, we then can buy for the next round as well. So in this instance against Crew, here is round number 3 here. It's 2-0 to Navi, and you can see that their buy is full rifles, full light shields, and this obviously gives them a great chance to be able to win this 3rd round. But even if Navi lose the 3rd round, like they have done here, so now you can see it's 2-1 to Navi, so they did lose that round, they can still buy again, right? We've still got, you know, full rifles, full shields this time. So basically the idea behind the Navi buy is we're going to get pretty aggressive in round 2, and that means that we can buy for round 3 and round 4 pretty much fully, giving us a great chance to win both of those rounds. Now, this only really works very well on the attack side because of the spike plant money. When you plant the spike, everyone in your team gets 300 extra credits. So that is what this is kind of based around. And it works a little less well on the defensive side, where you probably can't get quite as many rifles. And so this is where Fnatic's idea is coming from. It's basically the same idea, but with a slight twist, because here you can see Fnatic have won the first attacking round against 100 Thieves here, and you'll see that they have gone for a similar sort of buy that, you know, Navi would, where they've got a rifle here and they've got 2 bulldogs light shields, so, you know, 3 rifles. Okay, the bulldogs aren't quite as good, but they've got a marshal and a stinger instead of those pistols. Now, what you're going to see here as we come towards the end of the 2nd round is Boaster in just a second. He's basically just going to int in with this marshal. He's basically just going to throw himself at 100 Thieves, and he doesn't really care what's going to happen for his life. The same is going to happen for Leo as well, who's bought the stinger. So the players with the marshal and the stinger they're just basically going to risk it and just try and get these kills. Here you go. Those two are just kind of sneaking up, whilst everyone else is just kind of staying back and playing it a bit more safe, right? So Boaster, he's just running in, right? As 100 Thieves are actually trying to die to the spike here. In goes Leo as well, right? And we don't really care if we die. You see how the others are kind of playing a bit more passive. Chronicle is actually going to get that final kill. And so Leo lives here with the Stinger. But you'll see as we come to the third round of this game, Leo no longer has a Stinger. He now has a full rifle, right? So they come into this third round with the 3 rifles and the 2 bulldogs, making this a really, really good third round still. But 100 Thieves would win that next round, making it 2-1, and so Fnatic have lost, but you'll see that they can still buy. Okay, Boaster has a bulldog here, but everyone else still has 4 rifles and light shields. So how have they managed to do this, right? They've basically taken that FPX buy, added a Stinger and Marshall in round 2, but then they can still buy for round 3 and round 4. Well, the difference between Navi and Fnatic is that in round 4, Navi are going for this full-on full shields buy, right? You can see that most of the players here have full shields, and that is their ideal buy. Whereas Fnatic, for their round 4, they don't care about that. They don't care about having light shields. And so what that means is they can buy that Marshall and that Stinger in round 2, and even if they live, they can drop them because they're going for light shields in round 3 and round 4. It means that basically they can get a much, much safer round 2 where, you know, instead of having pistols, those players do actually have guns that they can fight back with. But for round 3 and round 4, they can still buy. So that is the kind of general idea. Yes, I do think that they made a mistake against Sentinels in their first game where they went for that confusing buy. But the idea is very simple in a sense of it's basically the Navi FPX buy. But instead of going for full shields on round 4, we're going for light shields instead. And that means that we can make that second round even safer by having a Marshall and Stinger. No one has to have pistols in that round as long as we buy in to the light shield strat.